All right, guys, we've got an interesting situation playing out here. Everybody is screaming that AI stocks are selling off and that everything is massively down. Well, I'm going to show you some things that really paint a very contradictory term to that. We're going to look at the 1 month on a lot of the major stocks: Nvidia, Micron, AMD, Broadcom, SK Hynix, all that. But really what I want to talk about is the overall market and this sense that we're seeing in the markets that, everything is out there. And like, this is a headline: stock market today, NASDAQ hammered by chip sell-off. Okay, let's take a look at Nvidia. So today on the 1 day, Nvidia is down 0.79%. All right, well, maybe it's just maybe AMD's down. On the 1 day, AMD is up 0.21. On the 1 day, Broadcom is up 0.3%. So forth and so on. And it's interesting how we're seeing this play out. Now, I want to point you right here. See, the NASDAQ's down 212. Dow is down 199. And to round out the other ones, the other stocks we care about here on my channel, here's Micron. Micron on the 1 day is up 4.7%. SK Hynix on the 1 day is up 6.8%. 9%. Now, SK took a beating yesterday. It was down about 12% overall yesterday. But I want to bring this back to this sentiment that AI stocks are selling off and this is a bad thing and everything's kind of going sideways and it's going down. No, it's not. There continues to be this narrative in and around Wall Street that we are seeing a situation where AI spending is going to get bad. Look, why the ugly semiconductor route could get uglier. I mean, okay. But the truth of the matter is that I don't really feel that. Now, what's playing out now, I think, is a situation where we got a couple of other things at play. We had just the announcement that China Moonshot unveils world's largest open AI model closing in on U.S. rivals, and everybody starts freaking out because they're like, "Oh, okay, this China's Moonshot is going to basically offload into the markets really, really cheap AI for people to use." Okay, that's fair. It's a thing. It's out there, but I think that's partly one of the reason you're seeing the sell-off in the overall NASDAQs, maybe because of that. But again, you continue to see headlines with this. How it could get uglier and all this kind of stuff. I think we are in a little bit of a risk-off move right now. Risk-off means people are kind of getting away from risk assets, although I wouldn't consider Nvidia and AMD and Broadcom, Micron, SK Hynix a risky stock to own per se, and more in the long term, because I'll always bring you back to this very simple fact, is that AI spending is not slowing. The AI arms race is not slowing. And by the way, AI stocks are not selling off today, even though all the headlines on Wall Street would say that they are, and they're simply not. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to convey to you is that, look, if you want help staying on top of this and you want me to help you with that, I'd love to do that. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit that subscribe button, please. Okay. Because this is what I do for you. I'm going out looking at this stuff and kind of challenging the thinking and the overall sentiment out there, and talking really more about what we're seeing playing out. And I don't see the semiconductor space being in a sell-off. I don't really think it is. Now, do we have more downside? Yeah, I did a video on that, talking about that yesterday, specifically around maybe buying levels if you're looking at maybe wanting to pick up Nvidia or AMD or some of these major AI stocks. Because the truth of the matter is that there will be periods as we roll forward in the next week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, because there is a little bit of kind of economic uncertainty in the overall financial markets where we could see Nvidia drop. If we see Nvidia drop another 15, 20% in the next week or two, that's a buying opportunity. Same thing can be said for advanced, Micron, right? AMD, Broadcom, whatever it may be. But we are not in a massive semiconductor sell-off now, as Wall Street would lead you to believe. It is simply not playing out that way, which brings me back to the overall scenario that I talk a lot about here on my channel. It is the fact that you are going to see continuously every single week, especially in the AI sector, a situation where there will always be articles, there will always be content that I think is geared towards generating clicks and generating hype and trying to get you to click on them so that you then clicks in and read the article, semiconductor market's in a massive sell-off. No, it's not. I just showed you the proof. I just showed you that. In fact, you want even more proof? Look at this. If you look at NVIDIA and you look at it on the 1 month, it's up 0.75. Now, I'm not saying that that's like amazing, but it's not like it's down 40%. Okay. Which again, Wall Street would lead you to believe or want you to believe. If you look at AMD on the 1 month, it's down 2%. It's only down 2% and arguably very volatile in the last 30 days. Broadcom on the 1 month is down 4%. Micron on the 1 month is down 14%. Memory's been hit harder. SK Hynix has very limited data because it just started trading, but it's down 4%. So Micron is right now the biggest loser, if you will, at 14%. But even at 14% down, that's not a dramatic move down, as Wall Street will lead you to believe that the entire AI sector is in this massive decline. I just want you to understand and look past the hype and look past the headlines and look past, quite frankly, in my opinion, a lot of misinformation that is out there. That's what I want you to do. Okay, I think it's a fake out. I think it continues to be a coordinated effort to dislodge you in some instance of your AI. Now, again, you got to realize that these companies like finance.yahoo and all of the major online marketplaces, what are they in the business of? They're in the business of generating ad revenue and getting clicks and seeing, and basically having people stay on their platform. Stocks fall as chips sell off hammers NASDAQ. I mean, this was, by the way, 8 minutes ago. No, it hasn't. I just proved to you that is simply not true. Chips are not having a major sell-off right now, today, and or in the last month. Now, there may be other, like, well, you know what? Let's look at Intel. Let's just see. Let's see. Maybe Intel is selling off. All right. So Intel, no. On the 1 day, it's up 0.72. And on the 1 month, it's down 19%. All right. Intel's down 19%. As far as in the semiconductor space, that is the biggest one that's down as far as percentage down in the last month. But that's not a major, oh my God, semiconductor stocks are crashing and stocks fall as chips major sell-off hammers NASDAQ. You get my point. My point is that you are in a volatile space, which is AI stocks. AI stocks right now are moved by just about anything. We saw that happen with Taiwan Semiconductor announcing earnings, saying that their prices are going to start going up. And it just triggered this massive sell-off in the last 36 hours. Okay. We saw the same thing happen when Samsung announced their earnings and mentioned, a few things that the street didn't really like, even though they had 19x amount of profit, I believe, in the period over period, year to date, or not year to date, but period over period. My point to you is that because there was one, and by the way, they didn't miss on earnings. They didn't miss on forward-looking guidance or anything like that. It just caused this major sell-off because everybody is so emotionally / panic-based, triggered around AI stocks. Every week we continue to see the same narratives just trotted out. The narrative of AI spending is going to slow down. The valuations are too high, so forth and so on. And I mean, yeah, you can look at some of these companies and their PE ratios are high. I agree, but they warrant it as from a, what they're producing in earnings and valuations and earnings per share and all that kind of stuff. Like Micron and SK Hynix, those are bad examples because their PE ratios are actually really, really low relatively. But you get my point, okay? AI stocks are not falling. The market is not being slammed by a massive, major AI stock sell-off. But this would lead you to believe that it is until you start digging into it. And that's what I'm trying to say to you. Look past the hype, look past the media, and know your numbers and know what it is, because that's what it comes down to. And don't let that emotion, hype, panic drive you out. That's what I wanted you to understand. Because I think, quite frankly, Wall Street's lying to you. I do. I really do. And I think that they continue in one way or the other to lie. But again, remember what kind of it is. A lot of it is hype built around headlines. And headlines on finance that get clicks are market sell-off because of AI stocks. Okay, because they're driving ad revenue. They want you on. They want to serve ads on that page and all that kind of stuff. It's just like in your local news, and I said this before, local news, what do they cover? Every time I watch my local news, there's a story about a fire. Everybody loves to see stories about fires or major wrecks that are going on. It's our human nature. So we want to see, so we click on headlines like this: stocks falls, chips sell off, hammers NASDAQ. Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, it's going to, yeah. You get my look. Semiconductor stocks keep falling as investors go risk off right here. Why the LE semiconductor route could go lower. I mean, you get it. I mean, it's just there. The 3.3 chip sell-off is nearing a bear market. Chart of the day. Headlines drive engagement. Just like the headline of this video drives engagement. That's the point. But I'm also telling you the truth. Okay, thanks for giving me a few minutes. I appreciate you, and I will see you down the road.